with the hopes of steering people on the left into a direction that isn't annoying, but rather productive. But because they can't comprehend that I'm having this conversation that I've had a million times over, he goes, huh, you built this cult and now you hate them. No, you baboon. This is what I talk about on a daily basis. You just have never encountered it. And the only thing you know of me is through clips of other people making you believe that I believe certain things. FY, the director and lead writer of Kingdom Come Deliverance is a Gamergate supporter. Yeah, I don't care. It's a really good game. I really like it. So it is pretty funny that he made such a banger ass game, and then because he put like one black person in the game and because he put one gay romance option in the game, everyone of his fans that he had accumulated over the years of being a Gamergate supporter, that's you know, they're all mad at him now. Hold on. I'm getting confirmation. Getting confirmation right now from my management to see if I can play Assassin's Creed today or not. Okay. All right, let's blast off. Like I said, here it is. And Megaphonics, I don't care about the beef that you and Lolo have about season 2 of Severance. And no, I haven't watched Severance yet. I'm gonna restart it from the start. I haven't watched like the last couple of episodes of season 1, and I didn't even realize. Okay, I will watch Severance eventually. I will get to it, don't worry. Libophonics, goddamn, Severance phonics, hooked on phonics. Mr. I went viral on TikTok, on Severance TikTok. So now all I talk about is Severance. Man, the director of Warhorse Studios is Fash. He openly collaborates with Russia and have companies to spread propaganda. KCD. Wait, what? He collaborates with Russia? What does that even mean? The game is awesome. That's all I'm saying. I don't care about who made it. I don't care about the I don't care about like the person who made the product. I care about the product. Okay? And it's so funny that like people still hold on to this. No, your consumption of whichever form of art is actually, it actually dictates your morality or whatever. It's like kind of funny because like nobody believes this. Nobody cares about this. Nobody operates like this. And yet there are still liberals who are like, nah, I'm going to keep that going. I'm going to keep that shit alive, baby. I will never let that die. This is my political activism. The BDS rules don't matter then, right? Yes, dude. The comparison to a targeted, directed boycott created by a group of people that put a lot of thought and effort into an incredibly specific, incredibly centralized boycott movement against the state that is conducting it is not the same as like, I don't like this video game creator. Okay? That if you can't comprehend the difference between these two things, okay? I don't know what to tell you. You've been in here for 16 months. You need to stop doing this, okay? Being like, oh, dude, excuse me. I've decided personally that like the Wukong creators said some misogynistic things, so I'm doing a boycott. It's not the fucking same as like boycott, divestments, and sanctions on the state of Israel for the crime of doing it, okay? Like, think about it this way. On the BDS list, you have Caterpillar. Why is Caterpillar on the BDS list? Because Caterpillar has Cat 9, which is specifically created for the IDF to bulldoze over Palestinian houses, to bulldoze over people who protest against Palestinian houses being bulldozed over, like Rachel Corrie. Please stop trivializing real political activism with like your own personal distaste for a video game developer or whatever. Okay? If it's your own personal choice, go on, king. But know that like running around as though you are the most moral, most woke person of all time because of your own personal distaste for the actions of a creator or whatever, you're so off right now. No, I'm not. There is a very obvious vision that I try to channel and try to describe at any given point. Okay? You don't have any other capacity to understand the world other than the liberal framework that you work with. The liberal framework that you work with dictates that the only thing you care about is the content that other people are consuming, and how they're consuming that content doesn't even matter. It's just that this is problematic. We're done. Okay? This is problematic. I don't want anybody to touch it. They're problematic if they consume it too. this kind of slacktivism isn't real slacktivism at all. It's not real activism at all. It's barely slacktivism. You're just being annoying. You have substituted real tangible results that people try to bring about, real change that people try to bring about through actual initiatives. BDS is organized and bigger while this one video game is small. No, there is no organized boycott against this video game. What are you talking about, dude? You just made it up in your mind. Like you've just decided that you have an issue with it. This is what I mean. This is what I mean. This is just like the most... People unironically think that just being annoying is activism. It's not activism. You're just being annoying. That's it. Don't try to like... And don't try to personally bring this down to like or don't try to bring up your own personal distaste. Autistic chatters can't conceptualize the difference between a boycott and dislike of something. Exactly. It's so weird. This is why I always get mad at people who turn around and say stuff like, oh, we're doing a general strike tomorrow. See how that works? No, of course you don't. Because if you did, you wouldn't just go, I found a general strike on the work free subreddit. Like, that's not how you do a general strike. You can't do a general strike like that. It's a massive movement. Hasan realizing he hates his own cult. Every day there is a new absolute moron that is this like right-winger guy who has imagined that I don't have these sorts of conversations every single day in here with the hopes of steering people on the left into a direction that isn't annoying but rather productive. But because they can't comprehend that I'm having this conversation that I've had a million times over, he goes, huh, you built this cult and now you hate them. No, you baboon. This is what I talk about on a daily basis. You just have never encountered it. And the only thing you know of me is through clips of other people making you believe that I believe certain things. And you believe that so much that you can literally be in the chat where I am actively engaging in course correction. And then you go, ha! Finally, he hates his cult. If I'm having this conversation right now, don't you think that I've had this conversation a million times over? If I'm having this conversation right now for the first time ever, what do you think is more productive? For me to have this conversation or for you to think that you have decided that you won something here, like an argument in your mind, that you imagine that I'm just like this and my community is just like this? Crash out on using autistic as a pejorative. I don't think like that. What the f is wrong with you? Yo, I'm a 5-year sub. Why are you using autistic as a pejorative? First of all, I'm a 5-year sub. I don't care how many years you've been in here. You've been in here for 5 years. What are you talking about? Crash out? What is happening today? I started off 33 minutes in and we got a bunch of morons in the chat. Why are you being an idiot then, bro? I'm not. I think you're the idiot right now. Okay. First of all, it's my word too. Okay. I can use it if I want to. That's number one. Number two, this is the most autistic community of all time. Yourself included, clearly. What the f is your problem? Nah, fam. Many people agree with me. Okay, good. Go hang out with them then. You're crashing out. Let's look at the background of this chatter. 317. Change your Roblox ID, trust me. You're crashing out, sir. I think this is another case of like a long-term community subscriber that's just like trying to get a clip out here because they've decided that they're bored with the current way that the conversation is happening. Sean Raid, new guy DLC. How do people change? Like, what happens? Try and find something, bro. KK, I will, bro. Enjoy. Yeah, you're being annoying. Like, this is a shocking display, like a shocking switch up. After being in here for 44 months, being like, this is the day I've decided that you're using autism as a pejorative and not descriptive about both yourself and also members of this community. That's what I'm surprised by. I'm trying to understand like what happened in your own personal evolution. You're not only a supporter of mine, but you also support fucking Sean the Black as well. So how did this happen? You offended me. We face ableism every day. Oh, I offended you because I use autism as a terminology in my lexicon. Okay, let me ask you something. Do you think this is a solid way to approach activism in your mind? This is why we do, okay, chatter, you're woke of the day, you know? This is precisely what I'm talking about. This is something that I yell about quite frequently. This back and forth that we have in this community is what differentiates the medium itself than in comparison to every other way of both organizing or even consuming the news, right? But in that process, there are a lot of people who come in here and masquerade as though they have valid concerns, okay? Without recognizing that sometimes there's going to be things that offend you, whether things that offend you because we're having a conversation about issues that maybe you haven't put a lot of thought or effort into, or things that offend you in terms of language that I'm using personally, okay? Bro, I run a mutual aid network in my city. I got it, dude. I got it. I understand. You're not listening to what I'm saying, though, okay? I don't care what your background is. I don't care what you've done in the real world. You're still being fucking annoying in this situation by tone policing, as I'm actively talking about how the left should stop doing this in an effort to ensure that they can engage in an effort to engage in solidarity of any sort. This is it. This is being annoying as a substitution for thinking that you're doing activism. And it's funny that I was just talking about that. Now you're being annoying and your chat is dogpiling rather than reflecting. Why don't you reflect, chatter? Why don't you reflect? You are surrounded by autistic people in this community, and they're all making fun of you for being fucking annoying. Why do you think that's the case? Is it because they have this cult-like admiration for me? Or is it because this kind of behavior is technically a narcissistic tendency masquerading as activism that is a blight on every fucking left-leaning, left-adjacent activist group of people just being like, I have my own personal issue. I think that personal issue is now going to be leading the discussion. That is not the case. That's your perception. I'm receiving whispers from people who agree with me right now. Chatter, if you thought that receiving personal whispers to your username when I pull you out here is reflective of the broader community's attitude, then you would think that this community is filled to the brim with neo-Nazis, especially considering that one of the most frequent whispers that people get in this community when they get pulled up is random schizophrenic neo-Nazis who actually fucking wait for the opportunity to go whisper people. Yes, I'm sure some people agree with you. I didn't say that there is no one in here. I'm just saying that the overwhelming majority of this community. Okay, bro, let's leave it now. Dude, I need you to not do this in your real world activism either. Okay? Please don't fucking do this. Please move on from teaching this guy social skills. No, it's very important. If this guy actually does like mutual aid, runs a mutual aid network in his own fucking community, he is a community organizer that also behaves this way in the real world. That's not good. It's not a good and accurate reflection of left activism in general. This kind of shit is genuinely fucking annoying. What the fuck does Hasan even do? Nothing. I just go online and shoot the shit. That's all I do. I mean, KCD is great work, but you're running the same defense r/Kanye run on a new release of his Nazi shit. Who cares? This shit's fire, but fuck him. I didn't realize that the fucking Kingdom Come Deliverance guy was an out and about neo-Nazi, and he put swastikas prominently all over his new product. I didn't realize that this was an adequate comparison. Things have context, things have nuance. Obviously, if that was the case, if he was doing all of that shit, I wouldn't be having the same exact conversation right now. I don't know why. Yeah, we call it discriminatory behavior. No, you're not. You're not doing that. You think you're doing that. You think you're doing activism. You're not actually doing that. There is a level of permissibility in terms of the way people approach things. I make jokes about trans people here all the time as well. This is a heavily trans and queer focused community. From the outside, people with no charitability whatsoever can look in and say, wow, this guy's fucking saying a bunch of shit about trans people. What the hell is this? Right? And assume that this is an anti-trans community. They would be wrong. If someone came in here, just like you did, and said, Hasan, the way you talk about trans subjects is actually quite problematic. most trans people in this chat would start dunking on that person and make fun of them. What you're doing is exactly the same. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to change your mind anyway, but basically the reason why I do this, the reason why I sometimes will take a step back and try to explain to people like, don't do this kind of stuff, is because it's not only unproductive, it also makes you think like you're engaging in activism when you're not actually engaging in activism. You're just like have a personal distaste and have decided that that personal distaste is actually at the forefront of your anger and resentment, you know? Like, I don't think he's trying to be an activist right now. He's just being vocal about a creator he respects offending him. Yeah. Ironically enough, I had this conversation with the New Yorker magazine in the New Yorker magazine piece as well. Of course, there's going to be different boundaries for other people, right? There's going to be different boundaries for other people. This is mine. Like, I use terms like psychotic, or sometimes even say schizo, or sometimes talk about autism in general, whether it be my own personal experiences or whether it be, you know, talking about how sometimes neurodivergent people don't have the best approach to understanding nuance, myself included. Now, having said that, if you consider that to be a boundary that you can't, you know, see past, you're missing the forest for the trees. I still love you a lot, and I think you're a very talented propagandist. Okay, then if you think I'm a very talented propagandist, then understand that there are going to be instances where I say things that you might not immediately understand or even consider to be genuinely harmful, okay? In short, chatter, you're coming in here policing an autistic man with heavily autistic language and are claiming to be advocate for autistic people and against ableism while actually not listening to us. That's what I mean. Like, this is a community virtually entirely comprised of neurodivergent people. Many of them are autistic, okay? Like, obviously if there was a level of ableism that was, you know, truly repulsive, the community itself would play a big role in checking that. The reason why we're even having this conversation right now is because I genuinely started today. Okay, I genuinely started this conversation today by saying, hey, leftists, don't fucking be annoying. Being annoying is not a substitute for activism. A lot of people personally think being annoying is a substitute for activism, real activism. There are a lot of things that I say that in the rear view mirror, you look back at and you understand why I carry on in the way that I do. It might not be for you in the interim. It might not be for you in the immediate moment. Okay, you might not understand it, but obviously it's the dynamic is similar to like Latinx, right? There was a time and place when everybody was like, you got to say Latinx. You can't be woke unless you say Latinx. People need to know where you stand on this. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. Why am I not going to do that? That's technically accommodating, right? It is. You're being accommodating. You're being super accommodating. Why was I not doing that? Because I'm a fucking white dude. And if I were to run around saying Latinx, every Hispanic person that I've ever encountered, both in the real world or in this community, would look at me and be like, what the fuck are you doing? Okay? Because that's just not how most people approach language. It's not how it works. And it's the same principle behind like using pejoratives or using terminology as a substitute for like stupid, or using terminology as a substitute for being crazy, right? Like, yes, these are all like pejoratives across the board are going to reflect behavior that most people look at and go, that's abnormal. You feel me? Like, in terms of the euphemism treadmill, the R word is an understandable boundary that I try not to cross. And the reason for why I try not to cross that boundary is because it is an understandable boundary that is a catch-all term that a lot of people are not just simply offended by it, but also, you know, it's one that immediately one that immediately says like, I'm planting my flag, you know, I'm saying this is my advocacy. I'm gonna focus entirely on saying the R word. That is the hill I will die on. Like, I don't want to fucking die on the hill. It's stupid. Yeah, I mean, here, Matt Christman talked extensively on this stuff, obviously, specifically modern disability politics. This is always an atom bomb, by the way. Disability discourse brings out I think, some of the least productive anti-solidarity conversations. But here, let's hear what he had to say.
Disability politics, Matt.
And before you say anything, Matt Christman, pre-stroke, was also still very disabled, which he will also say in a second. Like, disability doesn't always mean visible disabilities, but Matt, you could, you know.
What do you think about modern disability politics, Matt? Well, I'll end on that one. I won't say too much. I don't want to. I mean, anyone who listens to this understands. I'm not going to get canceled. I just don't want to insult people. But I do think that a lot of disability politics is people desperately seeking a subaltern status. And I say that as somebody who is, I'm sorry, way more disabled than many of the people who I see make it the fulcrum of their political identity. And, you know, like they pitch it as like, well, I have to be the defender, you know, because of how of the trauma that my life has been trying to be disabled in this country. It's like, not really. And you can't argue that you're part of a community because due to the incredible variety of what it counts to be disabled, I mean, my God, by certain definitions, you could say everybody is fucking disabled in one way or another. That there is no community to speak for. I sure as shit don't feel like I'm part of some community. And yeah, it's like it does feel like it's an online phenomenon more than any expression of the real experience of people. Like, yeah, obviously, you know, capitalism is not able to fit as a cog within it. That's true. Yes, read Caliban the Witch and all that. But as with most things, the way to fight that is to fight capitalism and trying to play gotcha with people for being.
It's far too diverse and broad to be a community. Yeah, but it doesn't matter because, like, you're still a part of this community, whether you're disabled or not. Ironically enough, neurodivergence is a prominent fixture in this community, as we have done censuses on this year over year. And it's reflective of both the way that chat operates, which also obviously reflects upon the streamer and the way the streamer, me, operates. But having said that, the way I operate is not that complicated. It's like, I'm not going to cast aside coming across, like, I'm not going to cast aside like making jokes sometimes at the expense of entire subgroups that might come across as you know, minimizing or whatever. But like, the reality of the matter is, like, you should be able to do that, especially if like everybody understands that you know, this is not a community that's going to cast aside disabled people or not advocate for their rights. You know what I mean?
Discriminating against your disability of whichever one you have it's a recipe for the opposite of that. It's really just a way for you to be the center of attention and for you to have a.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that Matt identified and something that I identified as well many years ago, which is that the left does have a tendency to use activist language, emancipatory language specifically, to make a narcissistic desire to be heard into a political movement. And you do it more and more often. And I think it's incredibly harmful to any kind of solidarity. And I think that it plays really well in these sorts of communities. It was literally a part of the fucking CIA handbook, dude. Like, when the FBI and CIA were doing COINTELPRO, they straight up created field manuals for disrupting leftist organizing. And in the fucking field manual, it straight up says, be an annoying fucking scold, okay? I'm paraphrasing, but it's straight the fuck up. Use process and be an annoying scold over and over again and rage bait to stop solidarity dead in its fucking tracks. So yeah, there is in historic left movements, there's a term for it. It's called wrecker behavior, right? That's what it is. And unfortunately, because all other expressions of radical politics have been completely fucking shut off from mainstream discourse Any kind of like Marxist politics, real labor militancy is completely stopped dead in its tracks in leftist discourse, and even on college campuses, as a matter of fact, especially because it goes against the well-established hierarchy of the ruling class dominating over the working class. That the only permissible radical politics comes from identity. This does not mean that we cast aside different identities. Okay, it's not like saying, you know, yeah, be racist. That's the whole point. You got to be racist to be working class. That's not what I'm saying at all. Okay, you can never throw that away. You can never stop advocating for other people. That's the entire purpose of leftist movements in general. But because that's the only form of radical politics that is permissible in these progressive institutions, that's the only button that people hit. Okay? The only button that people hit is just being like, yeah, I don't like this. This is problematic. You're not featuring enough BIPOC voices in this conversation. You're not doing enough for disability activism. Especially when the conversation in and of itself was about solidarity, and the conversation in and of itself was about, you know, don't fucking be annoying. Don't substitute being a woke scold for, you know, for real political activism, because a chatter brought up that the BDS movement is similar in a joking manner, by the way. That person literally didn't even mean what they were saying, because they very quickly followed up and was like, I'm just being annoying, my bad. Or something along those lines, when he tried to make a comparison to someone being like, Kingdom Come Deliverance is a fascist product or whatever the fuck, and acted like there was already a well-established like boycott movement against this product in and of itself, and then made a comparison to boycott, divestment, and sanctions on Israel, the BDS movement that was created by the Palestinians. This is a very carefully crafted, very directed, very directional boycott movement with like tangible results that they want out of this. In any case, here's what I wanted to show you, and this is obviously the simple sabotage field manual, and I believe it's on the 18th page, right? Yeah. Make mistakes in quantities of material when you're copying orders. Confuse similar names. Use wrong addresses. Multiply paperwork in plausible ways. Start duplicate files. It's just like using process. General interference with organizations and production. Insist on doing everything through channels. Never permit shortcuts to be taken in order to expedite decisions. Make speeches. Talk as frequently as possible and at great length. Illustrate your points by long anecdotes and accounts of personal experiences. Never hesitate to make a few appropriate patriotic comments. When possible, refer all matters to committees for further study and consideration. Attempt to make the committees as large as possible, never less than 5. Bring up irrelevant issues. Bring up irrelevant issues as frequently as possible. Haggle over precise wording of communications, minutes, resolutions. Refer back to matters decided upon at last meeting and attempt to reopen the discussion about the advisability of that decision. Like expanding on, and this will happen, for the record. Chat does this without a fucking CIA field manual. Chat does this on its own because we have this somewhat selfish tendency to refuse to analyze things, refuse to interpret things, and try to understand where someone is coming from, and then instead go, no, this is my plight, this is my cause, this is completely fucking unacceptable that you're doing this. And then we expand upon that, and then we further have a conversation. When initially the conversation itself started off by saying, don't do this, okay? Don't do this. It's annoying. And to try to instill solidarity and try to bring people to your cause. And then in that fucking process, chat immediately started doing it, and then we doubled down on it, and now we're having a conversation about not doing this after the conversation started off with don't do this. This doesn't mean that there's no room for dissent, for the record. Of course there is. That's what makes this process more enjoyable in general. Having said that, Having said that, bro, I'm very familiar with COINTELPRO. Providing training on inclusivity is not COINTELPRO. Lamau, we focus on action, not debates. I literally write everything in layman's terms and refrain from political language to attract as many people as possible. Yes, but you're coming into, once again, a heavily neurodivergent community and policing language in a heavily neurodivergent community in a way that like the rest of the community doesn't entirely agree with you on. And you're getting your fucking notes from a couple people that you say are whispering to you and going, no, my cause is just. You're not understanding the point that I'm making if you don't understand what I'm saying here. Ironically enough, 24 people, dude, and a gifted sub. Oh my God. There is 28,000 people here. 28,112 people here right now. People jokingly give subs to the fucking dumbass hogs that I pull up on screen as well. Does that mean that they're actually, their cause is just, or they're making a fucking coherent point that must be heard? Is that what you think it is? The reason why we had this conversation that is entirely unproductive instead of covering the news for the past 45 minutes is because I don't shy away from demonstrating how these things derail. I don't think you're going to reflect on this. No, of course I'm not going to reflect on this. I have a well-established position on it. That's what I'm trying to get across to you. And I'm saying if it's not something that is to your liking, then, you know, you're just not going to enjoy my commentary, I guess, after enjoying it for 45 months. Especially because the energy that you brought to the table was that I was crashing out. And the reason why you said this was because I was telling another chatter to stop being fucking annoying and stop being a goddamn woke scold over utterly irrelevant, nonsensical bullshit, because that makes everyone here, that makes this community and that makes left movements look undesirable, as though they are unable to entertain normal things that other people enjoy. And because there is no way to have a nuanced conversation about this shit, people will then go, well, what about this valid thing that people would get mad about? Yeah, that would be valid. Like someone compared fuck Kingdom Come guy to Kanye West, okay? What do you mean? Stop being woke and soy, okay? Stop being woke and soy. That's what I'm going to start saying. The leftist position on this is to say you are behaving in a wrecker way. You're behaving like a wrecker, specifically to halt progress or to talk about things, like because you want to stop people from having any sort of discussion, and you want the discussion to be revolved around your own personal project here. Entirely projection from the chatter. Why are you allowing this egotistical, autistic asshole to derail the stream? This is just narcissism. I don't think this needs to be addressed for this long. But then again, I'm not a content creator. I just think kids like this don't deserve any more attention than stop being such a bitch. No, I want to, because that person is a 45-month subscriber. What do you mean? Like, and they're saying that they're a community organizer. I just don't want him to like behave like this out in the real world. You know what I mean? That's it. Bro might not be autistic, Lamau. He could be LARPing. I don't think he's LARPing that good. You know, I don't think he's LARPing that fucking good. No, that person is most likely autistic. Okay. Can record behavior be utilized correctly against the right? Yeah, but you would have to infiltrate right-wing movements and behave like a hog for an extended period of time and try to get them to engage in sectarian infighting. One version of that that's happening right now, already happening right now within the right, is the anti-Semitic right versus the anti-Semitic right that doesn't want to openly say that they're anti-Semitic. That's it. The anti-Semitic right that likes Israel versus the anti-Semitic right that doesn't like Israel. And they're kind of quietly fighting in the background right now. That's the hot button sectarian infighting occurring in the right. I'm autistic and I understand the point you're saying. It hurts a bit. It doesn't get in the way of the larger picture. Why do all dumb people equate anti-Semitism to anti-Israel? Because all the quote unquote smart people do that as well, actively, which is why it turns into a much larger issue. People respond to what they hear from both a neo-Nazi like Nick Fuentes and also a guy like Jake Tapper. You know, if the liberals in mainstream media are basically saying dual loyalty but wokely, and then the reactionaries and independent media are saying dual loyalty but not wokely, then the entire marketplace is captured by dual loyalty, both wokely and not wokely. Okay? The woke dual loyalty narrative is the idea that, like, if you criticize Israel, then you're fucking anti-Semitic because all Jews are Zionists, and that's like the well-established fact. The reactionary way to do that trope is to basically say all Jews love Israel, and that's all they care about, and that's why it's bad, because what Israel is doing is bad. Which one do you think is going to win out in that conversation? Which attitude is going to be more, like, which attitude is going to be more successful in penetrating collective consciousness? I think it's the second one, because most people at the end of the day see what Israel's doing and go, that's fucking horrifying. I don't like that at all. Even if I don't like Muslims, I still don't like what the fuck they're doing. Austin Show acts like he's woke scolded. He's been woke scolded one too many times by how he backtracks so much. It's hilarious and makes for great podcast material. Yeah, that's the beauty of the joke. Exactly. That's us making a joke about, like, that's the joke. Thank you. Exactly. You're literally just as toxic as your audience. You curate this audience with your behavior. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Using the term autistic as an insult is so fucked up. You're super toxic in that regard. You're one of the worst people when it comes to weaponizing mental health and medical conditions. Yes, dude. I am the worst person in terms of that. You are correct. Fuck it. I'm just the worst person in general. I'm the most racist person. I'm the most ableist person. Bro, it's so funny because, like, just click on any other content creator on this platform right now. Any of the top English speaking content creators right now, they're slinging the fucking R word like nonstop. Okay. Like, what happens when you encounter any other community that's not, like, heavily fucking moderated? What happens? Do you just perish? Does your brain fucking explode? You are manipulating, not you're manipulating. R-E. So what? So because there's something worse makes my behavior okay? No, your behavior is not okay because you said something insane. You literally said, I am one of the worst people when it comes to weaponizing mental health and medical conditions, which is an insane statement to make. I said that it is entirely normalized to say way, way, way more ableist shit without even a second consideration for it in most communities. And you came in, and when I directed that, when I established that your premise was faulty and said you're wrong and here is why, you turn around and go, oh, well, okay, just because there's other people that are out there that are worse doesn't mean it's okay. No, you're moving away from the main point that you made. You said I was one of the worst people. I said there are infinitely worse, more ableist content creators out there that think that we're incredibly woke and incredibly annoying. Then you turned around and acted like I didn't make that point and said, taking accountability for your own faults is not your strong suit. Now you're moving on to an entirely different conversation. We have a disagreement here. You will never understand it, I don't think. That's it. Look at this. It was a self-aware autistic chatter who used the term to describe chat. You just read the comment out loud. The narcissists are truly out in full blast today? Yes. Yeah. Is all this hate today trying to get you to avoid talking about Israel? No, it's not. I think these people would probably quiet down if I moved on to talk about Israel. The reality of the matter is that these people just want to fucking have me respond to them. That's it. It's the same reason. It's actually, ironically, a much better... It's ironically a much better way to derail the stream, really. It's fucking annoying, but it's a much better way to derail the stream than coming in here and LARPing as a hog and being like, I'm going to fucking shoot you in the head when I see you out and about, right? Because the principle is the same. The reason why you're saying this is the exact same. You want recognition. You want someone to reach out to you. You want someone to respond to you, right? This is a person that truly cares about this. Look, he said it again. I can't stand to see you always weaponize mental health on your platform. And now I'm rewarding it, which is why more people are coming out of the woodwork. So we're going to move on from this. And we're going to get to the actual news. After an entire hour of this completely unproductive back and forth, we have now moved on. We are officially moving on. If you try to come back to it, if you try to bring this back, it's not going to happen. Chat can't act like this. Content has no value. Just learn about a CIA left book sabotage handbook. Yeah, I mean, I try to use this as a educational moment because I do think it's important. I do think it's important to bring this back every now and again because I want people to not behave like this. I will never be able to stop people from behaving like this because they're so used to doing it. I just want others to understand that this is not a community where you can do that, which is why so many dumb fucks come in here and go, seems like the cult is eating you alive. It's like, bitch, I've been saying these exact same things for the past fucking decade. It's not about avoiding accountability. It's about my vision, okay? If I were to listen to people that are incredibly sensitive about what kind of content or what kind of commentary I engage in, you think they didn't, you think that people weren't chiming in the same exact way when I had 35 people in here? Of course they were. That's the one thing that the left knows how to do, right? That's it. The one thing that the left knows how to do is like try to actively gatekeep, make it seem like this is some hipster position. God forbid we actually have a broad, expansive movement of people that are at least like-minded, or at least recognize that recognize their class position. God forbid, that would be terrifying. So we have to do everything we can to be as annoying as fucking possible and try to stop getting people on board. Just because they disagree with you, they're from the left. Gotcha. The left, lol. Maybe you are wrong. I don't know. I think you're too stupid to make a coherent point. I'll be honest with you. And I was having a conversation about cancel culture and purity testing and how stupid it is. And I think, demonstrated why it was stupid.